Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. As has been my pleasure this month, I will be bringing another story to you by Lost in Scribbles. This one, the art is done by Nad98. You may remember them from stories I have written by them from last year. Make sure to check those out, as well as to give them a big thank you for doing the art for this. Without further ado, let me jump into No Odd One Out. Roman was in a mood. It was easy to tell because his hair looked like it had been mauled by a cat, and the blouse of his pajamas was askew, hanging off his shoulder and not even buttoned correctly. He'd never dare to show himself to anyone like this unless it was a mood. He further demonstrated this by not making eye contact with Virgil on the couch, still in his jogging pants and oversized Evanescence shirt. Virgil, unlike Roman, couldn't give two shits about anyone seeing him like he literally just rolled out of bed and downstairs. "Good morning to you too, Princey," Virgil snorted, which earned him a death glare from Roman. He even pouted and huffed, flopping down on the opposite end of the couch and placing his heels up on the edge. "Cranky because you were home alone last night?" He took a guess, scooting a bit closer to him. "I texted you. We were—" "I know what you texted. I know you both wanted to see that horror movie, and I despise horror movies." Roman was clutching his phone in one hand as he wrapped his arms around his legs and stared at his lap. "I'm not that petty, Virg. Just tired," he mumbled, before nudging his head towards him. "As if you never wake up all hostile and grumpy like some trashy raccoon." "Hey, that's my line," called Janice, waltzing in as if he was still half drunk, dressed in his golden nightgown elegantly tied around his waist. "And I can assure you, darling, you look much more presentable than our little raccoon over there." Janice smirked. He walked over to Roman and raked his fingers through his hair, trying to style it a bit. Yes. A new, wild style? I very much prefer this one. Like a spitting image of your wonderful, law-abiding brother." Roman didn't seem to appreciate Janice's reverse compliment and shook his head to make Janice pull his hand away. "Don't talk about him right now." "Was he such a hassle to deal with?" Virgil huffed. Remus had come over to visit yesterday for dinner, apparently, and it was always a gamble whether the brothers would end up fighting or have the time of their lives when left alone. "Maybe we should have called another babysitter, Jay." Virgil grinned at Janice. Janice chuckled and took his hand from Roman's hair. Their couch wasn't that big, so Janice didn't even have to stretch his legs to reach out to stroke Virgil's cheek. "And what? Risk having Remus wiggle in the middle of us in the theater while we were getting cozy?" Janice did that thing where he'd hold Virgil's neck and tilt it upward, giving whoever he chose a stunning view of his angled face and piercing heterochromatic eyes. Virgil both loved and hated how it'd make him blush every time. And he took in the sight of Janice's smooth smile before Janice leaned in to kiss his forehead. "You'd be getting too jealous." "Right." Virgil rolled his eyes fondly, and he leaned into Janice's touch a bit before he let go. "If we're talking about jealous, we should look no further than Sir Mope-a-Lot over here." Virgil scooted closer and patted Roman on the head. "Next time, I'm gonna ask you on a date, and Jay gets to be mopey at home, 'kay?" "Oh, yes. Keep making one of us feel like a third wheel," Janice teased back. He sat down in front of Roman on the carpet on folded legs, grabbing Roman's ankles, which were still covered by those fluffy red socks he'd always wear along with his pajamas. "That would be so healthy for our relationship," Janice added as he yanked a bit on Roman's ankles to make him lower his legs. Apparently his fatigue didn't leave him much strength or willpower, because both of his feet were at the floor with one of Janice's weak tugs. Virgil saw that his eyes were still hazy, no blush or pout or anything anymore, but before he could say anything, "Can you two just shut up for 2 seconds?" Roman would make demands like this before. They all had at some point, but this hardly sounded like a demand or a plea. It didn't even sound like Roman. So empty and hopeless. Sorry." What's wrong, Ro? Virgil wrapped an arm around Roman's slacked shoulders. Janice crossed his arms and leaned them on Roman's thighs. He looked up at him with a look of concern, a serious one that was usually a sign that the games were over. Nothing, he shrugged in a quiet voice, so that meant the opposite. I'm being stupid. None of that, Janice interjected. What's going on, dear? Roman looked at his phone in his hand again, and he sighed. After Remus left last night, our mom called. Something about Remus not contacting her or Dad for 6 months now. Apparently, he told her something about hanging with me yesterday, or so she heard from someone else. I don't know. Anyway, of course, I'm the one who had to talk to her. I tried to reach Remus, but he won't answer, and now that he wasn't there, I get yelled at again for pursuing theater, which won't land me a job and won't get me anywhere in life. She'd put all faith in me, and I'm throwing it away, yada yada. Virgil bumped his head against Roman's. He tugged Roman a bit closer, hugging him a bit. Roman sighed again and relaxed a little in his touch. I just didn't want to hear it. I know you two were out, and I didn't want to bother you. I hung up. I went to sleep. Next morning I had 3 missed calls. Remus leaving angry texts about tattling on him to Mom or something, which isn't true. I didn't badmouth him at all, and he's been flaky with reaching out to her in the first place. Roman's voice was getting more heightened, and Janice grabbed Roman's hand to give it a gentle squeeze. Dear, please, take a breath. It's okay, he said, bringing Roman's hand to his lips and kissing it softly. Roman had been having migraines lately, which worsened when he got upset. Luckily, Janice kept another one from flaring up. Roman breathed out an exasperated sigh. I'm sorry. It's stupid. Family stuff. It's none of your concern. Bullshit, Virgil said, rubbing his head against Roman's. Your concern is our concern, Ro. Our raccoon is right, Janice grinned as he stroked Roman's hand. I'll gladly give your brother a little talking to. And leave me to handle their mom? Virgil scoffed in feigned offense. He glanced over at Roman, sneaking him a kiss on his cheek. You're lucky I'd do it for you, Ro. Even if confronting your mom has gotten me literally vibrating with fear before. Finally, he managed to get a chuckle out of Roman. She actually pitied you that time, you know, Roman said softly, after which he rested his forehead against Virgil's. Guess heroics suit me better after all. Okay, then. Guess that just leaves me as the villain. Virgil grinned cockily. He pulled Roman closer. We'd be a better enemies to lovers couple than that shitty play you dragged us to last week. Roman faked a theatrical scoff this time as he pushed Virgil back on the couch and wiggled his legs on either side of his waist. He was practically pinning him down on the small, cramped couch now. Virgil's neck was going to make him pay for leaning against the armrest in a 40-degree angle. I was out there taking you to see highbrow entertainment, Stormy Night, Roman smirked. Unlike some of us who think horror is a worthy genre of cinema. Oh, believe me, there is much one can learn from horror. Janice had made his way on to the couch, too, sliding onto the spot Roman was sitting in before. Because of his slender posture, he could fit in the other corner of the couch with ease. Virgil chuckled when he saw Janice crawl closer from behind Roman and wrap his arms around Roman's torso. Such as how to prey on innocent victims, he giggled, then pulled Roman off Virgil and into his lap. Roman shrieked a bit out of surprise, and Janice immediately folded his legs over Roman's to trap him. Got you, he teased. You scared me, Roman said with a red face, all flustered. Roman was irresistible when flustered. See, this is why I don't do horror. How can you enjoy eliciting heart attacks like this, you heathens? Virgil leaned forward and sat himself up, laughing. Come on, everyone loves the villain, Virgil echoed one of Roman's own flirting lines back when they'd just started dating, and Janice wasn't even in the picture yet. Speaking of Janice, aren't you lucky you get 2? he whispered into Roman's ear as he cuddled Roman against his chest, spooning him a bit. Virgil was half expecting a tease back from Roman, but was caught off guard a bit when Roman relaxed in Janice's hold. Something vulnerable flashed in his eyes, his lips trembled a bit, and he turned his head to tenderly kiss Janice on his lips. "Very lucky," he mumbled as he pulled back, and Virgil was momentarily smitten by how endearingly the two of them were cuddling. He almost felt left out. "Don't forget about me, you theater kids," Virgil huffed, and crawled a bit closer to them. Virgil closed Roman in a one leg on each side as well, wiggling them around Roman and Janice. He grabbed Roman's phone from his hand and put it on the coffee table. "No phone for now," he tutted. "No reaching out to annoying family members. We'll deal with them later," he said and stroked the right side of Roman's face. "You're mine now." "Oh, goodness, no," Janice teased. "Don't leave me out, V." He reached out for Virgil's other hand and placed Virgil's palm on his own cheek, still rippled from burnt scar tissue that was probably the most beautiful part of Janice, and they both knew that. Virgil smiled at him, soothingly stroking Janice's cheek as Janice leaned his chin on Roman's shoulder. They were a tangled, cuddly mess for as much as their small couch would allow them. Roman hummed happily as he kissed Virgil's palm and melted in Janice's embrace. Janice glanced at Roman, then at Virgil, and gave him a knowing smirk. Virgil smiled back warmly, bringing his face closer to his boyfriend's. There's no place he'd rather start his morning than right here. Hopefully, Roman felt the same. Thank you all for listening. Again, this story was No Odd One Out by Lost in Scribbles. I really do hope y'all are giving them some love over on AO3. Please make sure to do so because I think that they deserve all of it. I hope y'all enjoyed the story, and I hope you have a wonderful day.